All right, welcome to an episode of After Further Review with Kaylin and yourself and myself, Slick Rick. And we are without Shane today, who is in vacation in Miami, apparently. So,
yeah, man. He's telling me how great Miami is. He's sending me pictures of alligators and the ponds and, some cool stuff down there. I mean, I would love to go to Miami, so I'm living vicariously through our boy.
The alligators are the first thing you mentioned about Miami.
Well, that's what a picture he sends. It's pretty crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's got to be sweet. So we're going to do this one without him, but we're going to do a good job here. We got lots of stuff to talk about. Obviously, we will cover football, but got to talk about, the hottest thing in sports right now, and that's Aaron Judge breaking the home run record.
Yeah.
Well, in quotations, the AL record anyways. So it was quite the ride to watch him do this down the stretch. You could see the pressure building with each at bat. And, of course, he ties it against the Jays. Like, he knew that was going to happen. Yeah. But was he going to get the last one was the big question. And he almost did it. So it was pretty interesting to watch it.
And it's not where he got it is not an easy park to hit a home run in either, right? It's
No.
not like a high elevation place. It's not a nice home run hitter's park kind of thing. The guy that caught the ball gets whisked away by security immediately. I don't know if you saw that or not, but they took him off into the background right away.
Because that's a lot of money on the line there.
Well, did you happen to look in to see what the estimates are for what that's worth?
I know that the tying ball could be worth anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000. I don't know what the actual winning one.
$300,000. Okay, so McGuire's ball it originally sold for $3 million, and then now it's only worth about $350,000. This ball is still actually valued at about $2 million. So this guy's going to make a pretty penny off this ball if he decides to sell it. Good for him. What a place to be. What a time to be alive to catch a ball like that. Now you mentioned, coming into this, you put the quotations and everything like that.
Oh,
So,
yes.
what are your thoughts on this? Because you know what, as a guy who didn't really get into baseball till recently, I remember,
Mm.
I remember the whole home run with Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, Mark McGuire, like the chase there, and you know what, I'm gonna say right now, looking back, I couldn't give two shits. I think steroids did the best thing for baseball in the last 25 years.
Well, yeah, and you know what? There's two arguments to that side, obviously, and like not saying steroids in that era wasn't good for baseball, because if it wasn't for that, baseball would have had a really hard time when they came off that strike in '94. No one really gave a shit about baseball,
Hmm.
and no one cares to talk about the Expos were in first place that year either. So if for Canadian baseball fans that weren't all as Jays fans, that was anybody that was an Expos fan, they didn't want to watch baseball ever again, because coming back from that strike, it's like they screwed them. They just squashed the season, and they were rolling. That was Vladdy Guerrero, Larry Walker,
Yep.
Pedro Martinez,
Yep.
all in their prime. That was a hell of a team. So when the steroid era happened, it brought a lot of fans back. Now you forgot one name in that race, and that's my boy back here, Ken Griffey. Okay, now he did fall off towards the end,
Yeah.
but he is the only one amongst those guys wasn't taking steroids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that,
I'll give you
he
that.
still hit over 50 home runs that year in Seattle as well. And there was a cool picture. I wish I would have got it for the show, but it showed Mark McGuire in his rookie year and Mark McGuire in his home run year. And then it showed Barry Bonds in his rookie year, and then Barry Bonds in his fathead home run year.
No neck.
And then it showed Aaron Judge 6 years ago in his rookie year, and Aaron Judge now in his home run year, and he's the exact same.
The same person. Yeah.
This guy's a freak of nature. He's like the LeBron James of baseball.
Yeah.
That's 6'7", 280, can play center field, makes diving catches, hits for average. The guy missed the Triple Crown this year by 4 points.
And you mentioned something there about diving for balls. I think this is something else that is also lost. I mean, he has had some spectacular plays in the last month and a bit, and so he's got some extra highlights defensively. It hasn't just been his bat, but I think there has been, the idea was lost that Aaron Judge was actually a good defensive baseball player.
Yeah.
And the lad being able to have some highlight defensive plays while chasing this record, I think has certainly helped him. We've talked many times about a lucky time to be alive. I hate saying it as a Red Sox fan, but having a player like Aaron Judge in baseball is just like in the AL is just like having a player like Juan Soto in the NL. Or Fernando Tatis before he gets popped. But these are players. These are players that keep the sport exciting, that are good on both sides of the ball. Another player like a Mike Trout type player, right? But unfortunately,
don't talk about Trout. Talk about Ohtani right now, because Ohtani, for Ohtani to lose the MVP this year, even though he won it last year, is incredible, because he's the first player ever, to hit 30 home runs and have 10 wins on the mound. Mm-hmm. Ever. Even Babe Ruth didn't do it. And he still had a monster year. He finished second to Aaron Judge in home runs. You know how many less he had than him? Yeah. 22.
Well, I think unfortunately, what it comes down to is just the fact that the team was so bad. How can you hand an MVP to a team that is to a player on a team that is so bad? And it's not his fault, right?
It's not his fault, but whatever. He already got one. Fuck off. And and now you guys, Aaron Judge. If you're like Vladdy should have won it last year, but he didn't because of the amazing rarities of what Ohtani was doing. But this year, if they had to give it to him, it would have been stupid, because Aaron Judge doing what he did. Like, I'll just go over some of these numbers that he had this year. Not only did he have the 62 home runs, he had a 311 average. He had 131 RBIs. His on base plus slugging was 1.111. 1,100 on base plus slugging.
That's video game numbers.
It's more than video game. Like, that's retarded. Nobody, like, 1,100 OPS. That's just disgusting. He only had 175 strikeouts and 570 at bats. If you it sounds like a lot for people that don't know baseball a lot, but for that many at bats, not to mention they have him batting leadoff. The guy's 6'7", 280, and he's batting leadoff.
Yeah. Right
now. Like, the guy, had 92 walks, 16 stolen bases. It's just like he did it. And like you said, defensively, he did it. He just did it everywhere. So the only argument you can make is that he did hit at Yankee Stadium, which is like hitting at a Fisher-Price Park if you hit it to right field.
Yeah.
Though we've seen a lot of and that's, argue Barry Bonds all you want. The guy is a monster. He still hit 73. and he hit it at Cubby Cove over that wall into the water all the time. And he, it wasn't an easy park for him to hit in as well. So, you can make the argument all you want. Barry Bonds, do I believe the record is still Barry Bonds? Yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah.
But I also believe that it happened in the National League where you're seeing different pitchers all the time. There's no designated hitter. And in the AL, he also plays in one of the hardest fucking divisions in baseball, notoriously. And there are a ton of good pitchers of who he hit this year, home runs off of. Yeah. So, that's got to be taken into consideration as well. The division that he did it in this year. And this is the last year where you're going to play your division 38 times. They're finally going to straighten that out in baseball. And you're going to play the other side way more. So I think what he did, considering it's in the NL or AL in our division, I think it's super, super impressive what he's done.
Yeah, and I don't have the graphic right now. I saw it the other day. It was when Pujols had hit his home run, and they were talking about his slugging percentage against the team. I can't remember what the team was either, but the reason I bring it up is because there was 8 players on that list, that were like the top 8 with the highest slugging percentage versus an individual team, and there's all these individual teams. So Albert Pujols was on there, Mark McGwire was on there. The other 6 were Barry Bonds. This is like I sent our boy Kyle a video last night. He's not a huge baseball fan, but a video of when the Diamondbacks walked Barry Bonds when they had the bases loaded. These guys would rather put a run in than give this guy the opportunity to swing a bat, where only 1/3 of the time are you actually going to be successful typically.
Yeah. I'll read you the stat that I have on my phone here from 2004, the year that he did it. Amount of at-bats he had in 2004, 373. Okay? And how many times he reached base safely? 376 times. He reached base more times than he was at the plate.
Oh my God. Like, this is what I'm talking about.
So that means, like what you said, is that he got called in as a pinch hitter and was walked immediately, which apparently doesn't count as an at-bat.
That's crazy.
So he had more reaching base safely than even being there. And if you look at that, like at-bats, 373. I would wonder what Aaron Judge's at-bats were this year. 570. So look at that. Barry Bonds, got the record that year.
And
yeah, so there's a lot of argument in it, but when it comes down to it, what Aaron Judge did is absolutely retarded.
Yeah, ridiculous.
And he's playing every day. He played 100. He played 153 games this year, or something. 57 games, I think, actually. So he only missed 5 fucking games the whole year. That's durability, center field. And
which a
with
guy
all the
who's
injury
6'7", doesn't typically have those bigger body guys. They're going to get injured typically, right? Twitch stuff.
Well, exactly, especially when you're playing center field.
A lot of range, right?
Right. So yeah, it's super impressive. I, as a Jays fan, if it was anybody in the division, I'd want it to be the Yankees to get it, because I've always loved Derek Jeter growing up. So it was pretty cool to watch. I'm glad that he got it.
Well, you mentioned you're a Jays fan, so I guess that must lead us into the next part of our segment here, and that's going to be talking about the Jays and the Mariners matchup, right? And I'm going to preface this. I said it to you coming on to the show. I've said it throughout a few times when we've talked, is that I do Toronto Jays. The Blue Jays are one of the teams that I will actually cheer for as far as Toronto sports go. Even though they're in the division, they're kind of like little brother.
The Red Sox. So.
Yeah, well, exactly. I always call them little brother, and I shouldn't really be saying that right now based on how our season went. But a few weeks ago when the Red Sox, I knew were out of it, I was looking around at teams that I wanted to cheer for, and I've always liked the Padres in the NL ever since Tatis got there, because he's there, and I don't know how they're going to pan out right now. The NL's a gun show over there. But, in the AL, a team that I was going to start rooting for was the Mariners, and it really just came down to Julio Rodriguez. I really enjoy him as a player. I think he's a phenomenal talent, and I like the team. I like the colors. I think I like the city. I don't know what it is about Seattle. You got it in the background there, too. I mean, they're cool colors, and so I don't want to sound like I'm hopping on a wagon as a cheer against the Toronto team just because I can, but I am cheering for the Mariners this week, or this matchup. So tell me, Rick, what are the Blue Jays going to bring to this? What's the pitching rotation going to look like?
Well, we'll start with the fact that I'm thrilled to play the Mariners because for some reason, even when they were the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, we have just struggled with the Rays. And I was over the moon with the chance that we weren't going to have to play in Tropicana. Because if you look back 2 months ago, with this race, even when Shane said that we have no chance to make the playoffs even after the trade deadline, I was facing this team all the time. I did. I didn't think that we would come together as well as we have, to be honest with you. And I'm so glad we fired Charlie Montoyo, sorry, and we got John Schneider in there. And this guy, he's been what we needed. He has let this lineup be creative. He is not stick just to the guns on everything. He's done hit and runs. He's stolen bases. He's been caught a few times, but yeah, he has put the pinch hitters in at the right time. He's let his pitcher go through that seventh inning when he's having a good game. All these little things they add up. And this team has really really come together. Amazing at the right time. Everyone wants to talk about how Vladdy had an off year. The guy's still at 30 jacks and 100 RBIs pretty much. And still finished in top 10 in almost every category. So just wait till he does get hot in the postseason right now. He said, last year was the trailer. This is the movie. Well, here's the goddamn movie starting tomorrow. And I believe Vladdy will fucking thrive when we need him to. And he still had a great year. But, when it comes down to it, so happy we don't have to play in that shithole at Tropicana. And
you say that, and you're right. Nobody wants to play in there. Nobody wants to watch people play in there. I don't understand why they haven't done something about that.
Anytime the ball can hit the roof, it should not be. It shouldn't be hosting a playoff game.
Yeah. Now, alternatively, though, this is a lot of travel for either team, winning or losing. To travel that much and then to lose, or to travel that much then to still have to win to go on. It's a lot of travel in the first round. That's the one downside I would say to this matchup, right? I mean, Toronto to Seattle.
We don't travel to Seattle. It's all in Toronto, man.
The whole thing is? Oh, it's the
that's what the wild card round. When you win that, all 3 games are in Toronto.
Oh, right. Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what they changed this year when they added the best 2 out of 3. When you get home field, it's all in one place.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, good for them then.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So we'll go into the next argument. Glad we don't have to play Tampa Bay, but Seattle has, like you said, come on. They're kind of one of those teams that's hard to not like. They just broke the record for the playoff drought amongst all 4 major sports. I think it was like 22 years or something like that. Since they made the playoffs. So, yeah, amongst all 4 major sports, they just broke the record.
Wow.
So, finally. And so that's kind of cool. I'm happy for them. As you can see, I'm lucky enough to have a jersey of the team we're playing, and that's only because I love Ken Griffey. I always have. So when it's kind of sucks, like I was telling you earlier, I can't even wear this jersey right now when Seattle's in the playoffs because I'm playing my boys. But, if you had to ask me if I wanted to play Seattle or if I wanted to play Tampa Bay, I would say Seattle in a heartbeat. It's not because I don't think they're a good team. It just means that I don't think we have a lot of demons against them. What they do have is the pitcher that won a Cy Young for us last year, who was lucky enough that Canada finally dropped the COVID restrictions across the border, so he could pitch in this series. I think they did it just for him, to be honest with you.
Talking about our boy Robbie Ray or what?
Robbie Ray, yeah, Mr. Tight Pants. Robbie Ray, it's questionable whether or not he's going to play a second or third game. What we do know is we got Manoah against Castillo in the first game, and what Manoah has been doing is, it's legendary. It is, all-time Jay stuff. He just won, Player of the Month for the Jays last month, and he broke Roger Clemens' all-time ERA month low this last month. Now he missed it overall ERA by a few points, but last month his ERA was 0.88.
Wow.
And that was a time when people were like, oh, he's young and he's pitched too many innings. He looks like he had slowed down a little bit those couple months after the All-Star break. And what does he do? He bounces back with the best Jays pitching month in history and, anchors us, to the playoffs. He's our stopper. We expect to win when he's on the mound. And he got asked today, I'm sure people have heard by now, but one of the best quotes I've ever heard when they're like, you're feeling the pressure for game 1. And he's like, I don't know, pressure's something you put in your tires.
I like it. I like how the kid has just embodied Toronto. Like he really has it reminds me of that Austin Matthews type player. As much as I rag on Kyle Lowry when he was here, he was Toronto. Like, these are the type of guys that you want to have on your Toronto teams that, talk to fans, that mouth back and stick up for their teammates against some bad fans.
When
I talked about
Garrett Cole was here.
Yeah, when I talked about the Alejandro Kirk, when somebody made fun of him for being short and fat, and Manoah made sure to come to his defense, and that's awesome. So I really do like Manoah. He is a scary pitcher. He can go deep into the game, and that's a good matchup. Now that you mentioned, Luis Castillo is going to be your matchup in Game 1. Are you scared with this guy? I mean, he's historically, has he even seen the playoffs? Because he's just been on historically bad teams.
I mean, I didn't even know he was going to be the starter, to be honest with you. I don't know. The guy doesn't scare me. If I don't really know enough about you, then you probably don't scare me.
We played for the Reds before this, right? So, and like the Reds, I mean, I've been the Reds, right?
Well, yeah, and another thing we will talk about, which kind of affects Castillo as well, is whether or not the dome should be open or closed for these games. Right, and because it is a big difference.
Because I think I saw a headline about people complaining about the times. Yeah, so they're not.
It's terrible. I'm not even. It's 4 o'clock. I'm not even off work yet. It's 2 o'clock here.
That's brutal.
Such garbage. I have to listen to it on the radio.
Wait, 2 o'clock there, so it'll be 4 o'clock.
4 here, 4 there. Yeah.
So I know you probably have no idea what the weather's been like over here, man. But it has been like mid-August. It's been like 25 degrees. So
they show it's going to be 12 to 13 degrees.
Oh wow. Well, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, the game. As the fan, I've complained about this in the past. I hated the fact that they had these balls that choked up at the warning tracks all the time. I think that the long ball is what players or that the fan comes to see. In the playoffs, though, pitching is something that fans really cheer hard for, right? If nobody's going to be mad if it's a 2-1 game.
Well, you know what? I will say, I know I got his stats at home here this year: 12-4 with a 2.30 ERA, 142 strikeouts. Only 40 walks, and a lot of those apparently were with the dome closed. He apparently, everyone always rises the Jays on whether or not they should have it open or not, right? But I just found out that the MLB is actually the ones that have the say in playoff games whether or not the dome's open or not.
Oh, in the playoffs. Okay, so regular season, the Jays got the say.
Regular season, the Jays choose, yeah, but apparently MLB is the one that has the choice. Some guy on Tim and Friends said you should start with it open as soon as the sun starts to come, go down when it gets cold. Then you should start closing it halfway, get about best of both worlds. But, to be honest with you, I like it. I do agree with a few people. I do like it closed because it's so fucking loud in that place when that thing is closed.
Yeah.
Okay, I went to an AC/DC concert at Sky Dome with the dome closed with 50-some-odd thousand people there, and I couldn't hear for 3 weeks. Okay, so, I know how loud that place can get. With the dome closed, and you know what? The Jays finished 7th in attendance this year overall in the whole league.
Yeah, I was, about a month ago or a month and a half ago, I was making fun of how the Jays fans only ever show up when playoffs come out. And then somebody said, I want to go check and look at the attendance records because, pal, they're in the top 10.
Well, after COVID and not having a home stadium for 2 years, obviously they were anxious to get out. But I said this for years.
Well, that's the thing. You go back 2 years ago, even prior to COVID, because I went to look at that, and they've gone up. They've increased their average attendance 13,000. Not pre-COVID. I'm not this goes to show how much people were jacked to get back into the game when the season.
Well, I said for years though, when we were in the 2000s and whatnot, everyone's like, "Oh, the Jays don't get enough fan support." I said, "Well, you know what? Start fucking winning, and you'll get fan support." It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
People don't want to go see a team that hasn't made the playoffs in 20 fucking years.
Yeah, and not just winning, but winning and having a winning or the right type of attitude, right? Like I mentioned, Manoah's attitude that he brings, and having the right Vladdy attitude, and the fact that I think Vladdy is a godsend to the franchise just because of his dad playing for that team too. Vladdy, I mean, he had a he
didn't play for us, but
played
for Montreal.
Montreal, yeah. But
yes.
Vladdy had an opportunity, I think, to not have to be good right away because of that namesake too, right?
Well,
he had the opportunity to grow.
He set huge expectations. The fact that he has delivered and has given us what everybody hoped he would be.
Yeah.
And the people that don't think he had a good this year, could fuck off because he still had a good year, and people know him now. They have a ton of tape on him, and he's still doing well. A lot of times in sports, you get that guy that's supposed to be the golden boy,
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work out, and that's a lot of pressure on him. Same with Bichette, and same with Biggio, and same with Guerrero. These are all guys that have Hall of Fame dads for the most part, and they're expected to be these guys that they're the way their dad was, and that's got to be a ton of pressure on you. The fact that they have come through, Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro have done a wonderful job. Everyone was pissed at them when they broke up the 16 team, but it was a bunch of old guys with the big contracts. They said trust the process. We got the next level stadium getting installed next year. We have a group of guys that are with their minor league coach that they all love, and you see the camaraderie around this team. And it seems like things are going in the right direction. I feel like we're a year away still, but we all know what can happen when you get hot at the right time in baseball. So I hope to God we can get out of this series. Bo Bichette, touch on him real quick. He just led the American League in hits, American League in multi-base hits, multi-hit games, and he also led the American League in opposite field hits.
And he is still Toronto's biggest trade bait if they don't make it out of the wild card, eh?
I mean, if they don't, but they will. Yeah. We will. I'm calling. So we talked about that. We got a big decision as well tomorrow, or on Saturday. We all know Berrios is just that guy's a wild card. You never know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah.
But Ross Stripling has been a top 5 in pitching stats in the AL since he's come back.
Say it again.
Right?
Top 5?
Ross,
what?
Top 5. Yeah. This guy has been right across the board, right up there with everybody. So they have a decision tomorrow whether or not they try to save Gausman for the first round of the divisional series. And they start Stripling tomorrow, or on Saturday, sorry. And because if they win, Ross Stripling's been pitching as well as anybody. So you put him in there and you win, then you got Gausman for game 1.
Which would be huge, right?
Which would be huge. And if not, even if Stripling does struggle, then you bring in Berrios for game 2 in relief for him, and you save Gausman for the game winner in game 3.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the way I would play it, because I wouldn't want to waste Manoah and Gausman and have Stripling pitch game 3, and then who knows what the fuck happens after that for game 1 of the divisional series. So like Berrios could be on, or he can just get he could even the worst part of this guy, he could be cruising like 4 innings, no one's touching him, and then out of nowhere, boom, like it just blows up,
implodes. Yeah.
And so it's an intriguing thing. Do we want to play the Astros or the Yankees? That's the big question. I want the Yankees, baby. I want a Toronto Yankees playoff series. I've been waiting for it my whole life. Mm-hmm. I would love to play the Big Apple. We played great against the Yankees. We pitched well against them this year. I don't want to play those cheaters. I don't care if they say they're not cheating anymore. There's no way you just don't skip a beat. But must be Dusty Baker, baby.
It's an ugly second round matchup, regardless. Or not second round, but first round of the playoffs, post wild card, whatever. That's tough. The Yankees or Astros.
Well, like you said, we played well against the Yankees this year. We have a great record against them. I'm way more comfortable playing a divisional team than a team we don't see very often. And old fucking man winner there, Justin Verlander, just still leading the league in pretty much every statistical stat. Is just incredible.
He's an animal. So. He's been so good since he came into the league. But that's what I was going to say, is that at least if you went down a game or 2, knocking on wood over here for you, okay? If you happen to go down a game or 2 against a team like the Yankees, I think that you still know the team well enough that you could win a couple games back. You go down a game or 2 against a team like the Astros.
You're getting 2 home games no matter what.
Yeah.
And I believe taking advantage of those home games I believe we can get a split in New York, and I believe that we can somehow pull off a couple in Toronto as well. But you got to hope that Tampa Bay somehow pulls off an upset in this first series, and then there's still a chance that we could get another home field after that if that happens. But we'll see.
We'll see.
We have to beat one of the big dogs first. So
yeah. All right. Wow. So Thursday night means that it's time for football to start for the week. Love it. And we've got
sorry. We got to give a quick shout out real quick to Albert Pujols.
Oh yeah.
Just because this is a guy of our generation, one of the best hitters. There was talks about 2 months ago of him saying, people asking him, would you come back just to hit 700? Well, don't worry about it, because this guy went ahead and just did it this season. It went on an absolute tear after doing the home run derby for St. Louis Cardinals, the team that he literally just signed with for a swan song. and it turned into him being one of the reasons that they made the playoffs this year, and they play Bryce Harper and the Phillies. The Phillies also ending a drought of about 12 years of playoffs as well.
Wow.
So shout out to Albert Pujols. It's pretty cool. We're getting to see him hit the playoffs.
Droughts being ended all over. That's nice. All right, so as I mentioned, we go into the Thursday night matchup. A real barn burner here. We know that I do not like the Colts at all. They're my most favorite team in the league. And then the Broncos, who Shane has been very high on, and for some reason,
you know how much I love them.
Yeah, I know the defense has been pretty decent. I've not really enjoyed them, and I just don't know if this is any team to type of to brag about. I think the AFC West isn't as crazy hype as we thought it was going to be. I'm sorry, this is the matchup we get for Thursday, especially when we're going to be missing some important players that we'll talk about. But what are you looking forward to in this matchup besides the Colts?
I'm looking to see if Russell Wilson actually looks like a $250 million quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, get your shit together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, this guy has his lowest completion percentage of his career right now. You know, he has the lowest yards per game in his career right now. Other than a couple lucky fluke plays on bombs, which one of them happened to us last week, and the other one, with his one to Judy. And if it wasn't for that pass a couple weeks ago, they wouldn't even had a chance to win. He looks very unsure. Nathaniel Hackett definitely shouldn't be a head coach. He reminds me.
Here's the thing. I still will give him the benefit of the doubt because he's a first-year coach. He's got a lot in his head. I do applaud him because he went and hired that game manager coach that's up in the booth that he kind of leans on for game time decisions kind of thing throughout the game. But game
time decisions don't matter when you got to make a decision in the fourth quarter, Kaylin.
Yeah, I know. I get you. Their offense has been abysmal. It hasn't looked very good. Now they've lost their starting running back, and they're going to be going to. I've always liked Melvin Gordon, but like he's not the guy.
4 fumbles in 4 games.
That's right. And then the coach goes and says, "Well, obviously we're going to have to, run the offense through Melvin Gordon." Like, I don't know if that's the answer. I know that there's not a lot of more talent that's on that depth chart right now, but Melvin Gordon isn't the guy you're giving the ball 20 times to anymore.
Well, there's a reason why San Diego or LA didn't keep him in the Chargers. He's had injuries, and when he does have a burst of speed, he looks great.
Mm-hmm.
But with 4 fumbles in 4 games, he's had fumbleitis his whole career. It's something guys usually don't fix unless you're Tiki Barber. You know what I mean? Like,
that guy just had the weirdest freaking hold. Yeah, he's all the way up here. It was like holding a loaf of bread.
But he's careless. He's more concerned about lowering the shoulder, and it seems to get popped out a lot in the process. But you know what? When you paid a quarterback $250 million, you shouldn't be talking about the running back. Yeah, like that is not the problem here. They still have Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton. This team still has weapons around them. He is not taking advantage of them.
And the tight ends haven't been used at all. I mean, I had this starter. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, unfortunately, but I had him as one of my fantasy, bench players, and the guy hasn't had a target in like 2.5 games. The other players have
lost his tight end.
Yeah, and the other tight ends have played, but they're not getting the ball either. Again, the offense has just looked abysmal. If it wasn't for that defense and what they've been able to do there on defense,
defense has been incredible. This is not a 2-2 team, and it shows because my Raiders took them out last week, pretty handily actually. For the most part. Josh Jacobs, finally, holy Jesus, finally looked like you remember how to run again. The cuts and the vision he had, whatever closed door meeting they had at the Raiders, it must have worked because everything looked better last week. The Broncos they look like a mess on offense. So Russell Wilson doesn't look right. And that's what happens when you change a team in your prime, pretty much. Like, maybe not your prime, maybe a little past that, but still, and now Geno Smith, he's got better numbers than Russell Wilson.
He does. He has far better numbers. And I will come back to, and I will die on this hill now that I have seen him on another team. I don't care. They're only 4 weeks into the season now. Russell Wilson has been lauded as this guy who is the deep ball master. And I certainly think, just like Aaron Rodgers has, I think that there is a talent that, certain players have that other players may not have, but at the same time, I think that it comes down to the wide receivers that fight for the ball and come down for the ball. And I've always said that Tyler Lockett, Doug Baldwin, and DK Metcalf are some of the best adjusting receivers to the ball in the air that I've ever seen. Specifically,
Doug Baldwin's a pretty small guy, though.
Doug Baldwin was, yeah, but so was Tyler Lockett. But Tyler Lockett adjusted
Yeah,
every single
hear you,
ball ever.
but I disagree with you in a certain sense.
Well, okay. As an example, what about the floater that Russell put over the middle of the field? It wasn't even a moon shot, but it was about a 10-yard or 12-yard shot, and it was an underthrown ball that the running back didn't adjust to, and it was a drop on the 4th down. That's a prime example of your wide receiver you had in Seattle adjusted to that and then took it off for 60 yards with yak yardage for you too.
I agree with you in a certain sense, but I do also think one of the biggest problems is that what made Russell Wilson so good for so many years is his escapability and his creativity and his ways to create time in the backfield where those guys would get open. He looks like a statue back there. He's not attempting to move the pocket at all. He's not attempting to be creative. He looks so frozen back there. And this is not a guy that should be a statue quarterback. He's not as young as he used to be. I get it. But don't tell me Russell Wilson can't still fucking run.
Yeah, well, and then Nathaniel Hackett coming up from a Green Bay offense, which has a quarterback who is
moves the pocket all the time.
Moves the pocket, bootlegs, gets out of the zone. Like, there's no reason why you can't bring that type of offense. And
you don't have to be a scrambler, but you still should be creative. And he doesn't look creative at all. He looks so stale.
No, he got his check. He got his check, and now he's living the Miller
Well,
high
exactly.
life over
He knows
in Denver.
what he's doing. He knows what he was doing. There's a reason Seattle didn't give him the fucking money.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I've always been a supporter of Russell Wilson. Don't get me wrong. And if Richard was here, he'd be telling me I fucking told you so. But, because he always hated Russell Wilson. But you got a lot of money, bro, and you're not showing up. So, that's fine. Another guy on the other side of the ball, got to talk about Matt Ryan, because these are two potential Hall of Famers that we got going at it tonight that are both struggling big time.
And you know what? Another hill that I will die on. Matt Ryan looked great with Roddy White. He looked great with Julio Jones and Roddy White. He looked great with Julio Jones when Tony Gonzalez, yeah. And Julio Jones, when he finally came into his own as his own number one wide receiver there, he looked great with him. And when Julio's hammy started to go, when you didn't have, I can't remember the name of the wide receiver right now, of course, that got suspended for the year for gambling, and now he's suspended for the year for gambling. But when you didn't have
Ridley?
Yeah, Calvin Ridley. But specifically Julio. You go back to Julio, when Julio's hammy started to go on him, that's when Matt Ryan's numbers started to dip. And people would say,
I think it was after he blew a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. and anybody that's a Falcons fan will say, oh, well, Matt Ryan made Harry Douglas into a 1,000-yard wide receiver. Okay, so you force-fed one guy, which is what he is starting to try to do in this offense with Michael Pittman, which I thought was going to be the problem because they don't have anybody to throw there to.
But how do you explain? How do you explain the Colts beating the Chiefs?
Every dog's going to have their day. And I'll tell you what happened there is that their defense actually played really, really well that game. That's really what happened when it comes down to it.
Yeah, but they still didn't. The guy, he's becoming a go big or go home type of quarterback, right? 5 picks, 5 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. Sacked 6 times.
1,200 yards almost. So, it's an interesting matchup. I could care two shits about it. The only thing I care about is the Cortland Sutton gets in the end zone tonight, so...
Well, so we're coming, in the picks for this one. Denver and the Colts. The Colts don't have Jonathan Taylor either. That's going to be another significant loss for them.
And Darius Leonard's out too, I think.
Darius Leonard is out. He's got he only played for like 2 quarters in the whole season so far because he got knocked out in the Titans game, broken nose and a concussion.
Pittman's still having a good year, so.
Yeah, Pittman's having a good year. He's getting force fed, and then the tight ends are strong there. But that being said, I've harped about it enough. The Broncos defense, I think, is just too much. If the Titans defense can shut down that anemic Colts offense, 3 times in the fourth quarter, I have no problems with the Denver Broncos defense doing the same thing throughout the entire 4 quarters that they're going to be playing. So in this game, no surprise, I don't find many ways to pick the Colts. So I'm picking the Broncos. You picking the Broncos too?
No, I'm going Colts for sure.
Son of a bitch.
Oh yeah, Colts for sure, man. I don't think Matt or Russell Wilson's gonna do well though. Javonte Williams, they look like they struggled without him last week. As soon as he went out, that offense seemed to be very stale. But hopefully, like I said, Cortland Sutton gets in the end zone. Well, we'll take Matt Ryan tonight, Matty Ice. Let's see if we can get it done.
All right, so you said to me, in the rundown, you pick some other games that you think you'd like to watch this weekend, and let's talk about them. And there's a really good one that's going to be coming up here, and the Eagles and the Cards. This is offenses that one is chugging for sure. The other one should be chugging, but they just cut their former second round wide receiver. I don't know if you saw that or not, but Andy Isabella got waived, and he gets cut, and then he's going to sign with the Ravens. So I know that they have Rondell Moore there. I know DeAndre Hopkins is due back here in a couple of games.
When's he due back? He's not back yet. He's what, six weeks?
Yeah. So he's got a couple of games still, and plus the bye week I think they have inside of there as well. And I know AJ Green didn't even play, or maybe if he did, it was very, very little in the last game because he got hurt again. This is an offense that should be good. And Jalen Hurts is an offense that is good. I fucking hate to say that because,
I know you hate it. I know you hate it, but you know what?
I'm going to have to just keep eating crow all year long because obviously he's amazing.
Sometimes he can be wrong, just like Richard was wrong with Russell Wilson for a period of time. But,
that's right.
He is playing great. The Eagles defense is playing well. He's getting the ball distributed too, which is something that I didn't think he could even do. Miles Sanders hasn't got hurt yet, so that's good.
Yeah.
Because when he is healthy, the guy is a little scat back, and he does make really cool plays. I'd be crazy to not take Philly in this game.
Yeah.
But this is one of those games where could be a trap game. Arizona's still got a ton of talent.
They do.
And Kyler Murray, whether he's a quarter or game or video game quarterback, whatever what is his name said about him, or he's just playing video games, I don't know. But either way, the guy is incredible. He makes crazy plays. I know firsthand. It's going to be. I think it should be a really fun game to watch because both these guys are exciting. But I got to stay with Philly. Philly looks great.
Yeah, Philly does look good, and it's still just crazy to think that both the coach and the GM are coming off of some pretty big extensions here, and then having to fire or cut their second round wide receiver who was taken before DK. A lot of teams, everybody took a wide receiver or picked somebody else before DK because he was taken in the second round anyway. But Andy Isabella was just taken for pure speed. He won't be playing this week. I guess he'll be sitting on the practice squad for one.
That guy just lit me up in my batting league. So whoever signed him, Andy Isabella was just killing me.
Yeah, that was me.
That was you. But it was a computer when I played them, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, so he won't be playing this weekend, but speed is going to kill even further down there in Baltimore. So that's an exciting offense to be watching. We'll talk about that one in a minute here too. The next game that I wanted to bring up here is the Rams and the Cowboys. I bring this up.
Super Rush, baby.
Yes, I bring this up because we do not have a quarterback controversy in Dallas by any means. I mean, Cooper's been playing really, really well. Jerry's been applauding him on his podcast.
You know how crazy Jerry's getting, though. You never know. He might pull an Al Davis and just cut Dak Prescott.
Oh, that would just be crazy. He has a lot of good things to say on his radio show in the morning.
Have you watched the games, though? The guy's playing really good football.
He is, and he's not playing. I've said it so many times now about the Trevor Lawrence basic offense they're running in Jacksonville. They didn't really change the offense here in Dallas. It is the offense.
Opening it up, and he's hitting the guys when he should.
He's letting the ball rip, and it's exciting to watch the game. Now, they got Michael Gallup is back, and now, but he was a little bit limited in the last game. It was his first game back. Did something happen to Noah Brown? Because I got him in fantasy, and the guy went from 9 projected points to 1.
Yeah, I know.
What the hell happened there? So I don't have him start or anything, but I saw that. CeeDee Lamb, I think it was a did not practice today. I saw, which was
that catch though.
Yeah, that was yeah.
If Cooper Rush giving him a chance, he's not hesitating. He's trusting his ability, and he's getting rid of the ball fast. And this is supposed to be an offense that was motored by the run game.
Yeah. And
Cooper Rush is obviously they shouldn't have a quarterback controversy, but if a guy goes 4-0. Yeah. It's
well, I mean, and this is the same thing. The offense has been great, and please let's not get away from that. But their defense has been astounding. Trayvon Diggs has taken basically every insult he saw in the offseason about letting yardage go on him, and he is just pissed off with it and playing really, really well. I read a stat the other day that I know this is not NFC East that he's playing against, but 8 of his 11 career picks are against the NFC East, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. But this is
coming in. I've watched the guy in coverage. He's crazy to watch.
Yeah, and now the reason why I really am interested to watch this matchup is because the Rams have a lot of question marks surrounding them. Their offense doesn't look very good at all.
God!
Yeah, everybody is keep making fun of Cooper Kupp getting fed the ball too much, and Allen Robinson isn't getting open. I haven't had the chance to watch the All-22 film to see how open Allen Robinson is, but
I watched them all last game against the 49ers. It was embarrassing. Allen Robinson, I don't know why did you even sign the guy, because it's like the guy is not even running routes to get open. I don't know, it's weird. Obviously they're missing Van Jefferson. He was coming on big at the end of last year.
Yeah.
They're missing him big time.
Yeah.
And Cooper Kupp's still getting his. But the run game is stagnant.
You think
The
trading
offensive
Robert
line-
Woods? Do you think that tweet about trading Robert Woods for a 6th-round pick might have been the worst play of the offseason?
Well, I was just going to say Robert Woods is the next one on my list. These are all guys that these are all focal points of the offense. You lose OBJ, you lose Robert Woods, you lose Van Jefferson, and you have just Cooper Kupp and the poor guy. You're going to see his face. Like even when he makes a catch, he looks upset now.
Yeah.
Just like again. Like
Hey, well, in this matchup,
run-
he's going to see Trayvon Diggs all damn game, right?
All I
And
can say is fucking Sean McVay better get his head out of his ass and fucking figure something out, because you're supposed to be this offensive guru and you're giving fucking Cooper Kupp the ball 15 times a game. Figure it out, man.
I like it. Fantasy. It's totally cool with me, man. He's getting me 35 points a game.
100%. But Allen Robinson's still a good receiver. You're not running anything for him.
Yeah, it's strange.
Like you watch him, there's nothing for him. They're not even trying to incorporate him.
Yeah.
So Sean McVay can do his fucking chunky soup commercials all he wants. That's when things start going downhill, buddy. Okay, so you know what? You better get your ass in gear, because that team is still way too offensively talented to just be like, oh, we're missing a few guys. No, figure it out.
Well, it's working for us, and I think that the Titans are really good at the next man up philosophy. But there's no doubt that when you lose a left tackle, that it is going to be a big hit to your team. Whitworth is a big body. He's a big man. He's a lot of knowledge that he brought to the game. I think that unfortunately McVay's offense does have to have a good sized run game with it. It's not
on the other side of things. Looking at Matthew Stafford, it's almost like the Detroit battered lion that finally got his opportunity, put everything he had into that, and he does not look the same. He doesn't look confident. He doesn't look like he has drive.
It's busy. That pocket is busy every time he steps back, it seems.
Yeah, and it's like you've been used to a busy pocket your whole life. So you know what? Like I feel like there's not as much drive from Matthew Stafford as well. Like I feel like he's just content that he won. And that worries me, because a guy that's had injury problems, that's getting older, beat up his whole career, that finally wins, maybe he should have just left, because I don't think he has the same intent that he had last year. But I know I could be wrong, but they look like shit. Yeah.
If anything, at the very least, they're giving us storylines to talk about at the bar, because this is a team that should be really, really good. And of course, they're going to have some contention throughout the season. I enjoy that, especially because they're the team that beat us in the Super Bowl. So coming into the last game that I want to talk about here, and then we can get out here after your last conversation, your last points anyway. The Bengals and the Ravens. This is
I was going to say,
two firepower offenses.
Say what? Just one from the bottom, right?
There you go. So Joey Burrow, he has found a way to get the ball out of his hands a little bit faster, which is definitely helping them. On the flip side, we've got Lamar Jackson, who is just playing he's playing so good, Rick, that Shane compliments him. Like this, that's how good he plays now, is when Shane says that he's actually playing good. Yeah, that's a lot to say. So, even after the, Marcus Peters yelling at the coach, it's not even like it was a blip in the radar. It doesn't even matter. The team just moves right on from the Buffalo game. They're ready to play a divisional matchup here with Cincinnati. What are you looking for in this game?
I'm just looking to see, I love this divisional matchup. I love my AFC East, obviously, but and that's the other division I've always loved. I love watching the way these guys play against each other, and the fact that the Bengals are good again makes it even more interesting. You love to see Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow. These are two of the young, great quarterbacks in our game that use completely different styles.
Yep.
Right. So, you got a guy that's obviously run pass option guru, and you got a guy that's cool sitting in the pocket and delivering, passes. What I'm looking for is Jamar Chase to get going better.
Yeah.
I really don't feel like they've got Jamar Chase going yet this year. And towards the end of last year, it looks like nobody could guard the guy if their life depended on it. You want to piss off Marcus Peters some more? How about you just torch him with Jamar Chase? This game. So, that's what I'm looking for. I'm also obviously looking for J.K. Dobbins, because he's having him in fantasy. It was amazing to actually see him get involved last week. 2 touchdowns, 80 total yards. Of course, he's on the injury report again this week. But
what's going on with him now?
He's got a chest injury or something like that. I took too big of a bong toke. But when it comes down to it, this is a dynamic weapon on this offense that they haven't had at all.
Yeah.
And you got to see it last week where he can contribute in the passing game and the running game. He is very, very elusive. So if he is healthy, this just adds another dynamic to their offense.
Now, and
Mark Andrews still looks great, and
oh, he looks
Duvernay
amazing.
looked amazing.
And as far as like the offenses, Lamar has decided to stay in the pocket too this year. I mean, he has almost.
Yeah, he's not running because he has to. He's only running when he's running like when it seems suitable.
That's right.
That's what it seems.
He's got 316 yards for the season in 4 games, which is a pretty good average. Right? It's an average of 79 yards a game, but he's got a long of 79 in there. Right, so you knock that off. He's only got like 230 yards rushing there, 240 yards rushing between 4 games. That's a lot less than you expect out of a Lamar Jackson.
He's not forcing it.
No, the guy is just standing in the pocket, allowing receivers to get
He's
open.
proven a lot of people wrong.
That's right. Devin Duvernay has actually looked like a great receiver. Proud
amazing.
of Texas. Rashad Bateman has used his big, wide. I can't remember what they said his reach was or his arm wingspan was, but it was almost like 7 feet or something like that. Anyway. So,
well, and Mark Andrews was Mark Andrews. Still making plays. Still.
So that's
that's gonna be a great game. I'm going with Baltimore though.
You going with Baltimore? Yeah, I mean, I think in this one I'm riding the wave with Baltimore. I hate to do that because they're a rival of the Titans, but this is the team that is on the rise in a tough AFC. They are certainly making some noise here, and I just can't trust the Bengals right now. I don't know what it is about. I know that Burrow's getting the ball.
This could be the game though. Joe Burrow really makes a statement.
Well, he's going to have to because he's going to have to get the ball out as fast or faster than he's done in the last 2 weeks, and they've had wins the last 2 weeks. So now the last guy that I want to touch on, it's not really a game, but something that I
want to throw this in real quick though before this. I just want to watch Tom Brady take his divorce woes out on the Atlanta Falcons and embarrass them even worse than he did the first time in the Super Bowl. So.
Bro, did you see any of this stuff about Cole Beasley? Like Cole Beasley retired, and like every comment that was like about after him retiring was talking about how Cole Beasley saw what happened with Tom Brady, and he said, "Screw it, I'm going home to be with the wife and kids."
I heard that, and I also heard that Giselle said you either choose Florida and football or your supermodel wife, and he took off his shirt and just started to go work out. So.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, okay,
so that was kind of cool.
So the last thing I'm looking forward to this weekend is a rookie. He's been announced as the starter finally. We knew it was going to happen anyway. It's against a Buffalo team that's probably going to lose. This is Kenny Pickett playing in the Bills with
14-point spread.
14-point spread. The Steelers haven't had a 14-point spread against them since like the 69 or whatever merger it was anyway. So this is crazy for them, and they ended up like losing that game by 10, I think. Regardless, that's not what I'm really like interested in. It's more about we've got a player on one side of the team or one side of the field in Josh Allen, who I think embodies a lot of what Kenny Pickett can bring to the game, right? Kenny Pickett is not the most
very similar looking.
Yeah, well, they're big body guys as far as tall. Kenny Pickett isn't going to be the most accurate guy, but he's willing to take shots. He's willing to go outside of the pocket and move it, and he's willing to get some yardage. And I'm sure that if it need be, he will take a hit, much like Josh Allen will. But this is a guy I think that him playing against a guy like Josh Allen, he can not grade himself, but I'm sure that that's somebody that he has looked up to, and I think that's just a good matchup all around for. I think the Steelers get their asses kicked this game, but I think it's a good matchup for Kenny to kind of go against a good maybe future arch rival. Who knows?
Oh, 100%. I know Shane's looking forward to it, and his boy Pickens is going to be getting the ball more because clearly he likes him as well. But things aren't sunshine and rainbows in the Steeler land by any means. This could be the first year that Mike Tomlin has a losing record, and it starts with this game right here. This is a tough slide because it's not an easy division, and at the same time, I don't think the Bills are as good as people say they are either. This team has holes. I do think they're overrated to a certain extent. They did come back and win a game against Baltimore last week, but that was a fluke. Baltimore should have definitely won that game. They lost to the Dolphins. They obviously smoked your Titans, but, when it comes down to it, this team is good, but there are holes. There are ways to beat them. And if you're a great coach, which I believe Mike Tomlin is, and he gets enough out of his quarterback play, this could be an upset. I don't expect it. But you know what? It's not like Buffalo's that far. I'm sure, there's going to be a lot of people making the trip. Buffalo, the pressure's all on Buffalo right now. Because everyone has them touted as this Super Bowl team. Yeah. And like I said, I still think there's holes. And I think it's a possibility for him to slide in here and really make a big statement for himself as a rookie quarterback.
Well, I mean, after smoking the Titans and a come from behind win from Buffalo, I do think that there is no pressure on the Bills right now. but one thing I talk about pressure, a rookie quarterback, right? He doesn't need to have pressure all the time. I was reading an article today talking about Mike Tomlin's relationship with Kenny Pickett. Mike Tomlin does give him the gears when Pickett has a bad game or bad practice. Doesn't let him know that. But what I read was that Pickett is throwing it back, and when he's having a good practice, Tomlin's awfully quiet, and he's going the next day saying, "Hey Mike, I didn't see you at practice yesterday, or you were awfully quiet. Where were you?" kind of thing. So I like that they have that relationship already. I like that I'm hearing that Pickett is texting Ben Roethlisberger and saying, I should have thrown the ball away a few more times during the game. And, I like hearing that Ben is telling him, "Kid, you're talking to a guy who didn't throw the ball away ever. So be you and play your friggin' game, because that's what got you.
Trust your ability."
That's right. That's what got you to the league here. That's what got you where you are. You got a great defense.
There is pressure on the Bills because Miami Dolphins are in first place right now.
Yeah. Okay.
And, the Jets all of a sudden are decent. So you know what? It's not a write-off like everyone thought it was going to be in that division. Big game. I'm excited to see it, mostly for Shane's sake, but should be a good game.
For sure.
Before we sign off here, I do have to cover my Raiders a little bit because we're going to talk about it. And last week we finally, got off the schneid, won a game against Denver and Russell Wilson. Finally had the offense clicking. Devontae Adams getting the ball. Run game was fantastic. Perryman played amazing. Max Crosby finally got the engine going and got a couple sacks. Chandler Jones is still waiting for you, but this week we got the Monday Nighter against the Chiefs. Everybody hates playing the fucking Chiefs, but and we were the first team to beat them in like a year and a half, a couple years ago. So I'm excited for the game. I expect our defensive line just get better at this point. If Perryman's not in the game at middle linebacker, it is a huge, huge problem for us. It's become very evident at that case. Nate Hobbs, what a beast. This guy, playing corner for us, is taking over first corner spot, playing amazing. I hope the offense continues to evolve. But, I love the showdown. I love, the limelight against the Chiefs on Monday night. And, if we lose this game, our season's over. So that's the way I look at it. That's why I believe, closed door meeting happened. I believe that they got the team going in the right direction. Josh McDaniels got to open up the playbook and start doing what he's good at. And, hopefully we kick the Chiefs' ass.
Well, after further review, Rick, I think that we have covered it all. And it's an exciting weekend coming into sports. And it is a Red River Go Blue Jays or go Mariners. It's a Red River shootout this weekend. Quinn Ewers is back. So go college ball too. It's been a great time chatting with you, Rick. And we will see you next week, my man.
Thanks a lot.